Selamat siang semuanya. Terima kasih yang sudah bergabung di pelatihan Capital AQ Platform dan COMPUSTAT, di mana ini adalah pesertanya semuanya mahasiswa paling dari mulai S1, S2, dan S3. Kami sampaikan kembali bahwa mulai 2024 ini, Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis melanggan Capital AQ Pro Platform dan COMPUSTAT Finansial via Capital AQ yang bisa diakses oleh seluruh mahasiswa FEB UI, di mana semua mahasiswa emailnya sudah kami daftarkan, sudah kami sampaikan, kirimkan ya ke pihak SNP. Bagi yang belum menerima email, silakan mungkin dicek di spam ya, ataupun misalkan tidak ada, silakan mengisi di Google Form, G-Form yang sudah pernah kami berikan di blast di WhatsApp ataupun di ke akademik. Jadi yang belum menerima welcoming email dari COMPUSTAT, silakan untuk mengisi Google Form yang sudah kami berikan. Selain itu juga kami sampaikan bahwa untuk pelatihan ini juga nanti akan dibantu, akan trainernya adalah Faithmok, nanti dibantu juga oleh Bapak Leo Kurniawan. Kebetulan Pak Leo juga dari Indonesia, jadi nanti dia akan membantu apabila dari teman-teman mahasiswa ada yang ingin menanyakan, baik itu dari menggunakan bahasa Inggris ataupun bahasa Indonesia, atau melalui kolom chat, silahkan. Dan juga nanti eh, rekaman dari pelatihan ini akan diunggah, ditampilkan di website PSB dan juga YouTube-nya PSB. Mungkin itu yang bisa kami sampaikan, Pak Leo. Mungkin silahkan untuk dimulai pelatihan untuk sesi siang hari ini.
Ya, terima kasih banyak Pak Dindin. Dari SNP sendiri kami ucapkan terima kasih banyak ya kepada rekan-rekan mahasiswa yang telah meluangkan waktunya untuk berpartisipasi dalam training hari ini. Training hari ini itu akan berkisar antara 1 jam sampai dengan 1 jam setengah, bergantung kepada jumlah pertanyaan yang mungkin akan diajukan oleh teman-teman mahasiswa sekalian. Kalau misalkan ada pertanyaan dalam bahasa Indonesia, boleh juga diajukan secara langsung. Nanti akan saya coba jawab. Namun training hari ini itu akan dalam bentuk bahasa Inggris. Jadi kalau misalkan ada data tertentu ataupun informasi yang ingin dicari, tapi kalau lebih gampang komunikasinya pakai bahasa Indonesia, mohon langsung diajukan ke saya ya. Nanti saya bisa bantu penjelasannya. Um, dan ya, seperti yang Pak Dindin jelaskan tadi, trainer hari ini itu Fitmok, yaitu selaku Customer Success Manager dari SNP. Nanti dia yang akan membawa ya teman-teman FOP UI semua dalam perjalanan melihat bagaimana penggunaan data finansial, transaksi, um, market data, dan lain sebagainya yang bisa dipergunakan untuk penerapan nantinya, baik di uh, dalam segi riset ya, penelitian, dalam segi pembelajaran course ya, ataupun nanti ke depannya penerapan di dunia kerja. Mungkin cukup itu dulu dari saya. Terima kasih kembali Pak Dindin, telah dipersilakan tempat dan waktunya untuk SNP. Mungkin boleh saya langsung persilakan Fit ya untuk memulai training hari ini.
Ya, silakan Pak.
Oke, makasih banyak Pak Dindin. Faith, whenever you're ready, the stage is yours.
Sure, thanks, Leo. All right, so I'm gonna just share my screen and I'll run through CIQ first and followed by CompuStat and then CIQ Pro. And let me just share this and let me know if you're able to see the Capital IQ platform. Okay, so if everyone is able to log in, I'm just going to run through some account setup information first. So we're just going to go under My Capital IQ and go into settings here. This is where you can adjust your currency, your account setup. If you need to reset your password, all of that, this is all found under here. Under data specific settings, you can set, let's say, like the annual period, the currency conversion, and so on. And under regional, this is where you're able to also specify the time zone. So you just want to make sure this is updated, make sure the language and all that is updated as well. Later on, if you have any alerts created in your account, it will follow all of the currency, time zone, and the language you have specified here. Okay, and I'm going to show you how you can set up a watch list where you can monitor a set list of companies, and then I'll jump into screener and then company profile. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to unmute yourself and let me know as well. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is create a watch list. This is also found under My Capital IQ watch list, and there's a create button beside that. You just want to enter in a watch list name over here. So for instance, I could set mine as today's date, 17th July, and I click on create. So the next page will allow you to enter in the company names or tickers manually. If you have an Excel list, you can also upload and drop the file over here. If you have the Excel list, but you're not sure of the ticker, I just want to let you know we do have this identifier converter sheet, which I can send across after this. So you just need to paste in the company names, and it should reflect and update the relevant CIQ ID or ticker. So these are the two formats that our system will recognize if you're trying to upload a list of companies. So you don't necessarily need the exact, company form. You can see that here, they don't exactly match the result name, but it just finds the closest match. But if you don't agree with any of the results, you can always click on the drop-down bar and select the relevant company name. So once you have the list in Excel, you can drop it over here. Otherwise, you can manually add in the company name or ticker as well, which I'm going to do just to show you how that looks like. So for instance, these are the 3 companies that I would like in my watch list. I'm going to click on add. And once the list has updated, I should be able to confirm that the companies are added correctly. So these are the 3 companies. And if I'm happy with this, I can leave it as it is. If it's something that I want to monitor more closely, I can also go into my watch list tear sheet page. So this gives me information or updates about all these companies. So for instance, here I could see some of the latest news headlines for those 3 companies. I can also edit my watch list from here or see any updates in terms of filings, annual reports, or even key developments. Okay, and the advantage of having this watch list created is that when I go back into my dashboard, so I just click on the S&P Capital IQ over here. This is my dashboard. I can then set up all my widgets to refresh for the watch list I've just created by adjusting it here in the drop-down bar, add companies, and I can look up the watch list name. You might see something slightly different from what I have on my dashboard because this is a customizable dashboard. At the bottom right corner, there is an Add Widgets bar that you can look up, whatever information you're trying to track, be it events, earnings activity, industry news, and so on. If you're not too sure what each of the widget does, you can always hover over the icon and it will let you know, what this includes. So for instance, constituent performance one over here, you can see that this allows you to add a set of data points for other companies in your watch list. Okay, just want to take a pause here and see if there's any question on the dashboard or watch list function. Okay, if not, then I'll move on to the alert tool and then I'll jump into screener as well. And I'll show you the equivalent on Capital IQ Pro as well during the session. So to create a company level alerts, again, we go under My Capital IQ, under alerts, and you can click on create alert. So this is if you want to get company specific updates, be it news updates, key developments, or when the company has published certain filings. These are things that you can get alerted on. For Capital IQ, the alert delivery is just email alerts, and then you can definitely filter if you want them to be real time. So it's just sent whenever the triggers are met, or digest, which is a summarized version of the alert. Under this Add Companies section, this is where you're able to add in the watch list you've just created. So you can click on View Recent List, and then I can go into my watch list, and I could add this over here, for instance. I could add in multiple watch lists if I prefer, or I could manually add in the companies themselves. And over here, the select type of filter, this is where you're able to adjust what you want to be informed about, be it events, transcripts, so on and so forth. For public companies, if the watch list just consists of public entities, you can also set up certain stock price movements. So you can see an increase, decrease, or net change, or even a target price that you want to be informed about. And once you have all your alerts set up, you can just click on Save at the bottom of the page. Okay. I'll head on to the screening tool and then how we can find specific companies or even comparable companies using this giant filter over here. So you can screen for a couple of different things: companies, equities, fixed income, key developments, or even people and transaction data. I'm just going to open a company screen first. And at the bottom, sorry, let me just minimize this. At the bottom, you should be able to see all of the available screening criteria. So it's largely grouped by the type of criteria. So the first one tends to be more company-specific information. You can see some qualitative and quantitative metrics. The second one tends to be more equity-focused. Third one is people data. And the last one is transaction data. Sorry about that. So if you're not too sure, where the criteria sits in, you can also use the main search bar. So for instance, if I wanted to see a company within a certain market cap, I can just type in market cap over here and I can open this. And once you're more familiar, you can even use certain keyboard shortcuts as well. So when the criteria is open, I'm able to adjust things like the range of the market cap, or if I want to rank this, and the time period as well. So market cap, and I can set the time frame, whether or not I want latest or I want a specific date. So perhaps I want this on 5th of July, then I can set the value, I can display it, or I could rank this as well. The currency right now is just showing SGD because of my own settings. But if you wanted to adjust it away from your default settings, you can always adjust this under currency options, and you can set something different like US dollar or IDR if you prefer. So for instance, if I were to rank this based on market cap, so it's just gonna pull me the top, let's say the top 100 companies based on market cap, something like this. And I'm gonna add in a location as well, maybe to APAC. Let me add this. Yeah, I'll rearrange this. So when I rearrange this, what this should give me is the top 100 companies in APAC based on the 5th July market cap. Okay, let me just add in maybe one more industry classification. If the result is too broad, so like for example, the first one is giving me more than 1 million results, then your screen is not able to load. So I'm going to add in maybe software service and hold this, yep. And whenever you have certain screening criteria, the right-hand side has a results preview panel. So it gives you an idea on what companies are included in your screen. Okay, not sure why this is only giving me one. Okay. I guess it's just giving me one because it's just only Tata is meeting the top 100 companies based on Apex market cap. And when I go into the results page, if you wanted to see more information about the companies themselves, I might need to readjust it just to pull more pull more results. Give me a second. Let me just rearrange the ranking. So if you wanted to see more information about the companies, you can actually go into customize display columns. So the display columns, it won't narrow down the list of results, but it should just give you more information about the company depending on what's available. Okay, I'm gonna actually adjust this just so that I can get more results. So something like this. And I'll just put the company type as well, just to make sure I am pulling public companies. Yep, so now I should have about 1,500 results. And if there's a specific company I have in mind, I can use this where is my company button over here. So this helps me see if what I've added so far is, indeed relevant. So let's use Tencent over here. I can search if it meets the screening criteria, and it looks like it only passes the second and third, but it's failing the first one for software and service. It could mean that it's just tagged to a different industry classification. So if I'm trying to put Tencent, I might want to adjust the first one, but otherwise, if I'm happy as it is, I can leave it. And the display columns I told you about earlier, so this is found under Customize Display Columns, and you just want to click on Browse or Display Columns. Okay, so this will show you some type of information that you can add. So you can add financial metrics, you can add qualitative metrics, all those are possible. I'm going to show you real quick how you can add in some financial metrics. So going into the financial statements over here, I could expand out the key financials, and I could add things like perhaps the total revenue for last 12 months, or even if I want, let's say the last 3 years, I could do that as well and add the columns. And when I view the results, I should be able to see the revenue columns that has populated for all the companies, something like this. Just want to see if there are any questions on Screener, or if there's anything specific that you guys would like to see here. Okay, if not, I'll just let you know that if you want to retrieve the screen, like this is something you're happy with, you can always save this as a new screen, so you can always revisit this later on. So once you have the screen saved, you can go into screening and save screens to see all of your saved information, and you don't have to always rerun the criteria or the display columns once you have the screens saved. And just as a starting point to let you know, we have some idea generation screens that you can leverage on. So this will be helpful, and if you're not too sure like what criteria to add, you can always look up some of the pre-built screens over here. They're already grouped by screen type as well as workflow, so you can see the different screen available. So for example, fixed income, you can definitely expand this to see all the available fixed income data that you're able to screen for, or you can see like a people screen or transaction screen as well. Okay, if there are no questions, I'm gonna move on to a company profile and how you can get some company-specific information. So in the main search bar, you're able to look up a couple of things. You can look up the company based on their name, based on their ticker, or you can even look up some country-level information. For now, I'm just gonna look up based on the company's ticker. So I'm just gonna look up this one over here for the Energy Corporation. So when I click into the result, they should redirect me to the company's tear sheet page, which is just a brief summary on the company's latest market information, financial information, and some qualitative data as well. So some things that you can see here is includes the website, the office location, some of the industry classification, business description, and some of the latest key development. So again, this is what S&P tracks as the market moving events. You can see the latest 5 key developments over here. If you wanted to get more information, you can definitely click into the dates itself or on the left-hand panel as well. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, sure. I understand that you guys would like to see some shareholder information. I will cover that as well. Those will be all found under the ownership data. Let me just adjust my team settings so that it's not going to be distracting. Okay, I think that should be adjusted. Okay, so for ownership information, you should be able to find it is under the investor section, and then you can go under public ownership. So this is where you can see who are holding their shares. The first thing they show you is just a summary in terms of breakdown. But if you wanted to get more insights, you can definitely check out the detailed page. So over here on the detailed page, I can see the latest holders. I can see their position date. This is typically on a quarterly basis. So it's just showing me the latest at the moment. But if you want to see as of a specific quarter, you can definitely click into those as well. If you wanted to see changes in position, you can also specify this, let's just increase, decrease, new, sort of unchanged position. So if you wanted to see those, you just make sure that you're moving it to this box over here. So you can either double click, or you can use the arrow over here just to move it, or you can move all of it as well. Yeah. And over here at the bottom, they shows you all of the latest holders, the stock held, position date, the source of that, so on and so forth. If you wanted to see the trend in their ownership, you can always click into the history column. This gives you in bar graph form the change in their shares over time, as well as a table summarizing all that change in ownership, a change in the shares held, I mean. Yep. And if you're interested in any of the insider trading, cross holdings, all those, you can definitely explore in your own time. The history column here will be similar to the bar graph column we have. So the history column just gives you, I would say, just the latest 4 quarters. And then if you click into those, you also see the same set of bar graph. So this is what we have on the ownership side. Any question on this? Okay. If not, then I will move on to cover the CompuStat financials at this point. Okay, so on the left-hand side, for certain companies where we have CompuStat data available, you should be able to see this CompuStat financials section. So you can explore the different CompuStat financials pages, like the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. And at the top, you can adjust the time frame. You can also adjust the currency. So mine is just set to reported currency at the moment, but you can always adjust it. And if it's in a different currency, you can also adjust the conversion mode, be it historical or today's spot rate. Okay. And yeah, you can definitely explore the other pages under the CompuStat financials, where you can see, let's say, the revenue, income, and so on and so forth. And the bottom, we just have some of the EBITDA information. Any questions on the CompuStat data?
Fed in column chat,
Oh, in
there
the
a
Give
question.
me a moment. Let me
Mungkin Pak Leo bisa
just. Sorry, I'm just
Ya, Pak
opening up the
Dinin sudah
chat.
saya komunikasikan ke Fit juga.
Iya, di kolom
Siap.
chat ada yang bertanya, Pak.
Hi, sorry if my mic just was lagging for a second. For ESG data, I can definitely let you know what's available on a high level. ESG data right now at this point is only available on the Capital IQ Pro platform. So if you do have access to that later on, that's only available on Pro. Okay, so there are a couple of things that we can see on the ESG side. I'm just going to take you to the homepage first and briefly show you what you can also see from the company profile. So for the homepage side, you're able to see some of the latest sustainability research reports. You can also see some of the sustainability news. The right-hand side shows you some of the top performance based on specific sectors. So you can see how they rank based on their S&P's ESG score. So this is something that our own ESG team has calculated based on either publicly available information or a survey that is sent out to individual companies, and they fill in and they supplement it with the necessary information. And that's how we kind of calculate and tabulate the scores. And the right-hand side, you can also see some of the average emissions based on sectors. So you can see, for example, the scope 1 intensity and disclosure information. And if you are going to a company profile, so for instance, if I were to search Apple, for instance, over here, I can navigate into their ESG page. And ESG and climate. So this overview page just shows me how the company is performing based on specific ESG factors. So I can see things like Paris alignment, GHG scope 1 intensity, how they compare to their own industry average, whether they're like ahead, behind, if they've met specific checkpoints in the ESG space as well. Let me just expand this section over here. So some of the things that you are able to see is, for instance, like carbon's earnings at risk. So you can see the carbon intensity of what they have so far, how closely they are aligned to the Paris alignments. I won't dive too deeply into methodology, but what this does show you is some of the additional costs that the company will incur if they have specific carbon costs to top up. So you can see that there are various scenarios as well. They're showing you in terms of low, medium, and high. Just assuming certain scenarios, what are the additional costs that a company might need to bear as well. I see that there's some question on the carbon disclosure for mining company. So just to emphasize again, I don't think you guys have the ESG access yet. But if that's something that you guys are keen on and is available later on, then you will be able to access this additional information. For related party transactions, yes, that's something you can find from the transactions page, which I will show you and cover later on. So yeah. Let me just see the other questions in the chat. For GDPR, I have to check with our internal team on that one, whether or not we have those available for each state. Yeah. And for the server error, it might be like a cache issue. You might need to clear your browser cache and try again. But if you still face the error, feel free to reach out to our support team. I'll show you how you can do that. So if you are on Capital IQ, you can contact our support team using this contact us drop-down bar. So they are contactable via email. So any of the first you want to send them an email, via phone call or a chat support as well, that you can just send the screenshot over to them. If you are on Capital IQ Pro, it's using the question mark help icon on the right-hand side, and you can contact the quick support team here, also via email, phone call, or chat. Okay, I see there's some question on ISIN. Can I retrieve data based on ISIN, and how do I do that? When customizing the display columns, I noticed that market data for the close price only show option for years and months. Just to clarify for the display columns one, are you seeing that currently on the screener?
Yes.
Okay, on screener. Okay, let me just pull up screener real quick. So what I'll do just to save time is I'm just gonna use my existing watch list and pull up the information. Okay, so for instance, these are what I have, display columns. Stock performance and volume. And then I'll go into the close price. So you can specify this for, I see it's just years and months at the moment. Okay, let me check because yeah, it's a bit strange that it's only available for years and months. And I'll get back to you on how you can adjust it, because I believe you should be able to see this even on a weekly basis. Yeah, but as a workaround while I'm checking with this with my own internal team, what I can suggest is that you can definitely pull like the daily day close price even on a weekly basis in Excel. So just to let you know, in terms of Excel, we have two different plugins. So on Capital IQ, if you're trying to download that, it's under My Capital IQ and Downloads. And once you have the plugin installed, you should be able to see this in Excel. So the top bar, you should be able to see S&P Cap IQ. Or if you're downloading the Pro one, you should be able to see S&P Cap IQ Pro. Okay, and once you have either of the plugins, you can leverage on the formula builder Okay. And the formula builder will just ask you to reference like an identifier, which is the ticker or ID, or a cell if you already have a cell with all of that available. So let's say if I were to use cell AK13 over here, and I want the close price, I can search that. And under the right-hand side for parameters where it says single value, I'm going to put range of values, and then I can specify the start or end date. And if I want, like, let's say, last 5 weeks, I can definitely do that as well. And then maybe I want last 5 weeks as of 12th July, something like this. And I'm going to add the formula in, let's do it in this cell. Yeah, and once I've applied it, I can see all of the last 5 weeks worth of day close price for IBM in this case. Yeah. So this is something that you can definitely replicate in Excel. For ISIN, give me a moment. Let me go back into the platform. For ISIN, if you're on the company profile, I believe you should be able to see some of the ISIN information when you go into their fixed income securities. So let me do that for this company just to show you as an example. And I'll show you how you can also find ISIN on Pro. In fact, on Pro, I believe you can even look up, you can do the search based on the ISIN codes in the main search bar. We'll just give the screen a couple of seconds to load. Sorry about that. It's just a little bit slow today. Meanwhile, let me just see if there's any other question. Is there a simulation of using Excel add-in? What do you mean by simulation? I mean I can show you how to download the plugin. But if you mean like a step-by-step guide, is that what you're referring to? Or something different? And for the financials, okay, right after I show the ISIN, let me explain about the financials as well. Trying to open up the fixed income securities for this company. Let me try to run this in Pro as well. I'm not sure why it's taking some time today. So okay, so something like this. If I'm going into, just to let you know, I just search based on securities, but if you're doing from a company search, it's just under corporate issuance security summary. And then you can click into the various security name from here. So for instance, let me use the second one over here. So over here, you can see the ISIN code from their company profile. And it includes like other, identifiers. We need the QSIP, CDL, all those will be found under security summary, which is under the reference data. Okay, any question on this one over here? Okay, if not, okay, looks like it has loaded up.
Sorry, Miss Faith.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
I mean it's I seen in the screener when I download the Excel, there's also I seen in the Excel sheet. Can I get the ISIN too? Because
Oh,
there's
in
only like
screener.
yeah, in screener.
Okay. Yep, understand. Yeah, you should be able to add a display column for that one. Let's just try to run that. So let me just quickly add. Okay, let's contact the file. Oh, not this one. Okay, so for instance, it's a corporate bond. Let me try to just run this over here. And actually, I can even just go into. Just wait for this to load for a couple of seconds before I just customize display columns because I don't want it to later not be able to load. Under display columns, I believe it's sitting under the codes or identifiers. Let me try to see if I can get it a little bit faster. Hopefully that works. But once I show the fixed income screening, the next thing I'll cover is the difference in the financials between CIQ and CompuStat, as well as the transaction, related party transaction. Sorry, I'm not sure why this is not appearing. But I do believe this should sit under codes and identifiers, and then you can see primary ISIN over here. Yeah, so this should be what you're able to add, and you can just add it at a column to your screen. Yeah, hope that helps. Let me just go back into our CompuStat financial section. So I would say there are two different sources, different type of standardization as well. The CIQ financials is what you see under financials evaluation. So these are CIQ financials, whereas these are CompuStat financials. The methodology may differ just because CIQ financials, these are comparable between any companies that we collect. So after the companies have reported their filings, there may have been some standardization done on our end. So this is following our own S&P's methodology, which may not match necessarily to the CompuStat one. Okay, so the CompuStat one may have their own version of specific metrics in terms of calculation. Not all companies will have CompuStat financials available, but any company that you see with financials on the platform you should be able to find it under the CIQ financials. Yeah. Hope that clarifies. So it's just two different sources, if you will, and different types of standardization done on S&P's end as well as CompuStat's end. And right now, CompuStat financials is only available on Capital IQ. When you go on the Pro, you're not able to see CompuStat financials. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the transactions. Okay, so transactions is where you can see all of the company's historical transactions. Otherwise, another way to see it is also to run a transaction screens. So right now, I'm just going to look at the M&A private placement for this particular company. If you need to get more information, you can always click into the announce date, and it will give you things like the valuation, mentions of the reference parties, like be it other sellers, buyers, advisor information. If they're disclosed, they will also be included on this due profile page. Related party transactions, I would say if they have been disclosed and are collected by our sources, so we rely on like press releases, company company page, if they report it with the local registries over here. I don't think in this case it is a related party deal, but that's something that you can definitely screen for. If there's any company you have in mind, we can also look it up over here now. Okay. If you needed to see things like the corporate structure, like to see, let's say, like the subsidiaries and all that, you should be able to find it under the corporate tree, which is found under investments, corporate tree. So this will then show me all the subsidiaries of my base company, and I can definitely click into the various names to get more information. And yeah, you can expand this as well to see their subsidiaries as well. And then, of course, you can always filter this by relationship types. You can search for specific companies, but generally, this is where you're able to see their holding companies and related parties. Yeah. Hope this has helped. I will now show you kind of like the equivalent on Capital IQ Pro. So I will highlight some of the key differences also between CIQ Pro and CIQ. Will be that visually you'll notice that the two platforms are very different. The Cap IQ Pro is definitely a lot more modern, and a lot of the new enhancements or new features are more readily available on Pro. Okay, so you can see even the dashboard layout is very different from CIQ's dashboard layout, and there's a lot more information that is kind of like flashing, more dynamic and so on and so forth. So I'll show you how you can do the same things, for example, like the watch list, alerts, and screener, and how you can do the same here on Pro. But before we do that, just gonna run through some user profile and display information here. So this is found on the right-hand corner, the person icon, and user profile display. Just because we have a lot of information, you want to ensure that your profile specialization here is set to generalist if you want a similar view to what I have. Otherwise, you can definitely select specific sector level profile specialization as well. So if you select things like real estate, for instance, you'll be able to see more like property related information. If you select anything in the rest, you can definitely see and access this as well. But even on the generalist view, if you wanted to see any of this, you can always edit the top navigation bar and just drag and drop these. Yeah. And on this settings page, other things that you can customize includes your display, like your currency, conversion, time zone, and if you want the whole platform to be in dark mode, that's also only available on Cap IQ Pro. If you make any changes, you want to just click on the save button at the top. And yeah, gonna move on with our dashboard now. So this dashboard, like CIQ, is customizable. So you might see slightly different information from what I have over here. You can set this up according to, whatever widgets, whatever you're trying to monitor. And you can select, let's say, like a charting, events, newswire, and so on and so forth. Or if you wanted to see even, let's say, like interest rates, transaction statistics, you can definitely select and set them up as well. So I just have a tool panel over here, but if you wanted more columns, you can definitely do that. You can actually adjust this over here, according to what you prefer. Just to highlight, if you wanted to adjust individual widgets, you just want to click on the gear icon. That's where you can adjust, specify what watch list, or for instance, in this case, it's a news widget. So I can specify what as the content I want to see in terms of the news, documents, events, and so on. And if I wanted to adjust the date, time frame, industry, that's also available here. And specific widgets like the charting and the news one over here, you'll notice that there is a little flashing broadcast icon on the left-hand side. So this just means that it's showing me company-specific information. So right now it's showing me Alibaba stock price as well as Alibaba specific news. If I were to now click on BYD, it should then update and give me those specific content as well. And if you make any changes to your dashboard, you just want to make sure that you're saving those or autosave is switched on so that it can follow along with whatever you're making to, whatever widgets you're adding to your dashboard. Okay. And just like CIQ, I'm just going to show you how you can set up the watch list as well. This is where you can go under photo icon, list, portfolios, and screens, and you can click on create list or portfolio. If you have watch lists in CIQ that you wanted to integrate into Pro, you can also use the import save items over there. And you can just let them know which list you're trying to bring over. But otherwise, for creating of new lists, so for instance, let me just set this as my July watch list. The same steps, I would say. You just need to enter in the company names, company tickers, or upload the file. Okay. What's different on Pro, I would say, is the alert functionality. The alert functionality on Pro gives you other alert deliveries. So instead of just email alerts, you can actually download the mobile app, which gives you push notification or even activate this desktop alerts here. The desktop alert just means that it's showing up on this right-hand panel here. And right now I don't have any to display. And alert filters, I'm also able to use my existing watch list. This, and then I can specify whatever alert triggers I'm trying to fulfill. Okay, and just to let you know, for email alerts only, this is where you can customize the frequency. So right now, it's set to, the other two, it's set to real time only. But for email, if you want this to be scheduled at a specific day, specific time, or even the daily digest, so it just sends every day at 5 p.m., you can definitely opt for that as well. And if after you set up the alerts, you feel that you're getting too many or not receiving the relevant alerts, you can always go into your Manage Alerts page, which is also found under the bell icon, Manage Alerts. So this page will show me all of my available alerts, anything that is switched on. And if you needed to, let's say, share it with anyone else, you can also do that. The subscription center over here is if you want to monitor any specific markets. So this is a daily email newsletter that you can opt to subscribe to. So it gives you either before the market opens or upon closure of the market, latest information, like what's the latest movement, some of the latest Fed rates, for instance, and things like that. Yep, so this is definitely an optional thing that if you wanted to track any of the region movements like US, APAC, and EMEA, you can definitely opt into those. Okay, I'm just going to see if I missed out any other questions. Okay, but if not, let me cover the news section as well. So the news section on Capital IQ Pro is more extensive in the sense that we have more sources. So there are 3 sources that we have on Capital IQ Pro, which is our own market intelligence news, coming from our own journalists, Dow Jones News, as well as Nikkei News. So I'm just on the news homepage at the moment, which is where I can specify what are the topics that I like to see. So the left-hand bar allows me to see more topics, and then I can customize this, whether it's fixed income, things relating to environment, and so on and so forth. Then I can rearrange those. And once I'm happy with that, I can just click into the various topic name and click into the article header as well. So for instance, this one over here, if it's something written by our in-house journalists, so coming from Commodity Insights, Market Intelligence, so on, the mentions of any companies or any updates, let's like a deal update or things like that, would be hyperlinked. So you can click into those to see the company profiles or the deal profile. And the right-hand side will always show you a couple of popular articles as well as trending news articles in the last day or so. Okay, and another thing that you're able to see on the news page would be some sector level news information. So if you're interested in any of these sectors, this would definitely be interesting to check out. And there's a topical news page as well. So this one over here, I'm just going to quickly show you, which is our issues in focus page. This is where our news team has picked out specific trending themes in the market. So let's say election related updates, energy investing, AI, net zero, and things like that. And they always highlight the recent articles within the themes. So if any of these are of interest to you, I'll suggest that you can add it to your shortcuts and it will just show in this drop-down bar. Okay. And okay, I see that there was a question. I'm not sure if I missed out earlier, looking at browsing based on company size and comparing performance between 2 or more companies, as well as something like institutional ownership. Okay, for the comparison of companies, I'll suggest to use Screener to do that. So let's say running a company screen. If you have the watch list already, I'll suggest that you can definitely use the My List over here to import that. Otherwise, you can just directly add the companies as well. So let's see if I wanted to manually add my companies. I'm just going to specify them here. Let's just add one more. Something like this, and I can choose whether I want to include their subsidiaries or their prior subsidiaries and portfolio companies. But otherwise, if I'm happy with these 3 companies, I'm gonna run that and then add the display columns where I can compare be it market information, financial information, and so on. So let's see, I'm gonna put day close price maybe for this particular week, and then I'm gonna add in some financial metrics as well. So let's say EBITDA for the latest fiscal year. So depending on what you're trying to monitor, you can definitely add in the display columns. And if these are fields that you're always going to revisit, let's say you're always going to have to track these metrics, I'll suggest that you can save it as a report. So later on, when you have, you run another company screen, you want to pull out the same set of metrics, you can then just open your save views as report, and you can easily do that instead of, always starting from scratch. For institutional ownership, let me just, I don't believe you can see the institutional ownership from Screener. Was there anything specific you wanted to see for institutional ownership? The one I can suggest is, let me just check. We did have one that allows you to see the change in ownership for a group of companies. I believe it's under investor data. So Screener, investor data, and investor screening. I think this one over here might allow you to see the change in the ownership for a couple of companies all at once. So you can start by using like a list of companies or using a saved list. So I'm just gonna use maybe one of my existing watch lists over here. And then you can filter for the owner types. I can leave this as institutions, and maybe I want this for the last couple of quarters. Investment firm type, you can definitely adjust this as well. I'm gonna set this as all, and then run the screen. Yep. So this one over here, I can see this either based on aggregate, which is what it's showing me right now. So overall trend in the ownership of all the companies in the watch list, or I can view it by company. So on a company level, how has the institutional owners changed quarter to quarter? Something like this. So I can see one column for Apple, one column for Bank of America, and I can see the change in all of these institutional owners' ownership. Yeah, so I would say this is more, any of the ownership information are typically available on a quarterly basis. So you can adjust to see if there's specific quarters, or let's say if you always just want to see this as of December, you can set those quarter up as well. Yeah, just want to take a pause here and see if there are any questions. If you are on Capital IQ and you're having issues accessing Cap IQ Pro, it's just on the right-hand panel. You can just click on S&P Capital IQ Pro, and you should be able to be redirected to this. Okay, if there are no questions on this investor screening, I just want to show you something that's also exclusive to Cap IQ Pro, which is a very powerful tool known as Document Viewer. So this is found under More, under Apps, and Document Viewer. This is great because you can search through company filings, transcripts to get more information. So let's say if you have specific keywords in mind, you can definitely search and filter through those as well. I'm just gonna use clean energy and just quickly run this search over here. And the 2 things that I want to show you, first one is just within the filing space, and the second one is within the transcript space. So for filings, Let me see if I can find some sort of table of values. Okay, let me try to filter this to just 10Ks at the moment. Okay, so the reason why this filing search is very crucial is because you're able to, if the source document is a machine readable file, you can actually easily export some of the table values that they have. So I'm just trying to find like a relevant table to show you what I mean. Okay, this one maybe. Let me try a different company. But sometimes the option doesn't appear if it's like if it's not a machine readable file. Sorry, I just try to refresh the document here a second. Yeah. Not sure why I can't seem to see any. Okay. Let's try to find a table here. Yeah, so this is what I'm referring to when you're hovering over the table. If it is something you're able to export, there will be this export data button that will pop up, which just extracts out everything that you see in this table into Excel format. So it helps you to easily kind of extract out certain financial information or even qualitative information as long as it's shown in the table format and the source is something that is machine readable. Okay. And the other thing that I want to show you on this document viewer search is the transcripts. So this is something that we have only recently integrated, I believe just last month. So if you are on a earnings call transcript, at the top, you should be able to see earnings call summary. So you can see this breakdown based on sentiment or based on topic as well. So this gives you a quick way to understand what happened or what is covered in the call. If you click into any of the summary line items, so for instance, the first one, you can see where in the call itself this was referenced or this was mentioned, just to make sure that, all the insights that you're getting from the summary is actually properly linked with content within the earnings call. And if you like any of these summary, you can always download and export this. So it include both the sentiment page as well as the topic page. Okay, and something on this earnings call as well that you'll be able to access is this thing known as sentiment scores. So the sentiment scores here just looks at the word usage within the call. So you can see how it breaks down based on net positivity, transparency, and complexity. You can see the definition on the individual metric itself when you hover over the eye icon, but what this does is really just helping you identify how complex the language that used was in the call and how this compares to the industry average as well. Because sometimes companies that are trying to report like bad news, they may use more complex language just to kind of mask those bad news. Oh, let me try to close this. Yeah, just want to see if there are any questions at this point in time. Okay. If not, I'll also show you how you can get some macro level information in terms of country or just overall as a sector as well. So in the main search bar, apart on Capital IQ Pro, especially apart from just looking up companies' information, you can definitely look through the different categories of information here. And we are always kind of just updating the search here to be a lot more powerful. So even if I wanted to run like a people search, so if I want to see CEO of a specific company, I should be able to just type the search here as well, instead of going to the profile and so on and so forth. So the country level search that I was referring to earlier is where you can look up specific countries. So for instance, if I wanted to look up Malaysia, I can see a breakdown on the country's overall economic performance, some of the latest updates. So first one is the risk summary page. So this gives me the overall risk of the country, a breakdown based on their risk factors. When the score last changed, as well as the prior score. And the left-hand side just gives me an overview on the country's economic performance as a whole. If there's any updates in, let's say, the economic performance or the government, it will also be summarized over here. And in terms of macro data points, you'll find all of those under economic data, economic and demographic data. So they will show you historical as well as forecasted values. So you can see things like GDP, population, CPI, and so on. And if you needed to see in comparison to other countries, you can use the economy in perspective page here. So something like this, and then you can specify and adjust the year at the top. So some other information that you can see on the country level profile is some of the aggregated sector level information. So especially in these particular sectors like banking, financial services, metals and mining, TMT, and so on, you can see some sector specific information. When you expand this, you can see, for instance, M&A activity, mining properties, or even some TMT, forecast, broadband sort of data. Okay. And when it comes to the Excel plugin for CapIQ Pro, how you can access this is going under More, under Links, and SMP CapIQ Pro Office Download. So this is the page where you can get access to the file itself. The left-hand side will show you some system requirements, and if you did face any issues, there is an Office technical guide that you can also refer to. Yeah, and once you have the CapIQ Pro Excel plugin installed, what I can suggest and some resources that might be helpful is when you go under links, there is an Excel template library here. So this shows you some of the pre-built Excel templates that our in-house modeling team has already done up. So you can see this based on workflow, based on industry, template type, and so on. So some of the popular templates include like comps template. So if I search that, I can see all the available comps template that are available. Each of these are usually quite easy to use. So this is a detailed comps template that I have downloaded earlier. So they'll show you a set of instructions. So like what you need to input, be it the company ticker, the peers, date, and so on. And once you refresh this, the other subsequent tabs would actually update accordingly. So this might be helpful for you to see some of the latest valuation, financial ratios, and so on for some of the companies that you might need to analyze for your projects. Okay. I would say this is kind of like a high-level overview of both CIQ, CIQ Pro. I just want to see if there are any other questions, be it on chat or that I might not have covered earlier. Okay, I don't think so. I don't see any new questions. But yeah, just want to see if there are any other last-minute questions that you guys might have. Okay, if not, then yeah, I would say that kind of is everything that I needed to share with you guys. If you have questions, apart from reaching out to Leo or myself, you can definitely reach out to our client support team. So that again is using the help icon on the right-hand side, and email, phone call, and chat. Some other resources that might be helpful is the help center. So this is some of our frequently asked questions, a question bank, if you will. You can look it up over here. There are some training webinars from time to time as well, because we do have monthly enhancements. So sometimes the information might, be readjusted, or there may be new pages added in. So you can definitely check out those webinars to get updated on what's available. And then the last thing is there is a S&P Capital IQ Pro Academy. These are short tutorial videos. They are very specific, so you could have a video on screener, a video on alerts, things like that. And once you've completed the entire tutorial series, there is a quiz at the end, and you are able to also add it into your LinkedIn profile, just to show that you're proficient in using Capital IQ Pro. Okay. But yeah, if not, I'll pass it back over to.
Ya, thanks a lot, Faith. Jadi mungkin kalau nggak ada pertanyaan lagi dari rekan-rekan FEB UI, kami ucapkan terima kasih sekali lagi karena telah hadir ya ke sesi hari ini. Pak Dindin, mungkin ada closing remark yang ingin disampaikan?
Ya, mungkin Paleo itu aja sih. Tapi untuk rekamannya nanti kami akan upload ya di websitenya PSB dan juga YouTube PSB. Mudah-mudahan tadi pertanyaan yang sudah disampaikan di kolom chat sudah bisa dijawab semua sama Fed dan Pak Leo.
Oke, sudah. Siap Pak Dindin. Kalau misalkan ada pertanyaan lainnya, mohon
Ya.
bisa langsung hubungi client support ya, yang tersedia 24 jam 7 hari, itu melalui simbol pertanyaan yang ada di sudut kanan atas ya.
Ya. Mungkin bisa
Bisa
ditampilkan
dihubungi
Pak
melalui
Leo.
email. Oh, ini
Pak Leo.
lagi di screen.
Ya.
Ada email
Oke.
support.capiqpro@spglobal.com, request a call, dan juga online chat ya. Jadi
Ya.
tergantung media apa yang menjadi preferensi rekan-rekan FEBUI sekalian. Biasanya kalau online chat itu paling cepat balasannya karena langsung dihubungi dengan associate SNP seperti itu. Ya, mungkin akhir kata terima kasih banyak semuanya. Salam sehat dan
Ya.
Ya saya balikkan waktu dan tempatnya ke Pak Dindin.
Ya, baik. Terima kasih Pak Leo, Fed, dan juga teman-teman mahasiswa yang sudah bergabung di pelatihan sesi hari ini untuk mahasiswa FEB UI tanggal 17 Juli 2024. Untuk tadi yang sudah disampaikan terakhir Pak Leo, apabila ada pertanyaan yang terkait data ataupun apapun yang ditanyakan, silakan tinggal dibuka di helpdesk ya. Jadi tadi yang logo tanda tanya untuk pertanyaan yang akan disampaikan. Mungkin itu yang bisa kami sampaikan hari ini. Sekali lagi saya terima kasih banyak. Semoga apa yang sudah disampaikan sangat bermanfaat dan bisa diimplementasikan, diaplikasikan untuk akses data yang ada di FEBUI. Baik, terima kasih Pak Leo dan Fed atas joinnya hari ini dan juga teman-teman mahasiswa.